Hey, this is Dr. Powell. I promised you that I would send you a little recording that I want to go through some of the specifics about the perfect world of nutrition. And I'm going to talk in science, but I'm also going to talk in plain English, and I'll translate between the two of them. This first one is called the protein metabolism equation / requirements. And what this is going to show you is what's the minimum amount of protein you need to consume on a daily basis to protect your muscle mass, your hair and nail growth, your skin elasticity, your immune system. So as you're starting to really look at doing an aggressive, what's called a very low calorie diet or low calorie diet, it has to be protein sparing, means we're trying to protect your muscle mass. So part of the first equation is this is going to be for an ideal body weight of, let's say, 135 pounds. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is I have to divide this by 2.2, and this is basically to put it into kilograms. So that's 61 kilograms is going to be what's called your ideal body weight. Okay, so it's not based on what your current weight is. You could be 600 pounds. It's based on what this ideal is here. Okay, so this number is the first number that we're going to use as we go through these equations. Now, technically, there's actually two equations. The first one is what we call steady state. And this is kind of a ridiculous one, but I have to go through it just for the completeness. This is if you're not sick, you're not stressed, you're not trying to lose weight. How many people are there, right? So most of us are stressed, which is a whole nother equation, but this one's pretty simple. It's 0.8 grams of protein times your ideal body weight in kilograms. Okay, so for just the bare minimum protein requirements needed for your ideal body weight in a day is about 49 grams of protein. Okay, most people don't even get this in American nutrition. It's pretty pitiful how we're fed and how we eat. But you're not at steady state. Most of us are over here, which is called stressed. So stressed is going to be a whole different factor because it depends on the level of stress. So there's a range. The equation is 1.2 to 2.5 grams of protein times your ideal body weight in kilograms. So when you look at this number and I do the math, everybody raises their eyebrow and they say, oh my God, that's a lot of protein. Call 911. Dr. Powell's crazy. He's a high protein doctor. But this isn't high protein. This is what your body needs protein. If you're not getting this amount of protein on a daily basis while you're losing weight, you're going to be wasting muscle mass and your hair is going to fall out, nails will get brittle, and your immune system will drop and your skin will sag. So this is not a high protein. This is what your body needs just to maintain all of your bodily functions. And it sounds like a lot of protein, but it really isn't when we do the math. So let me take this 91 grams. I'm going to convert it back into calories. So a gram of protein has 4 calories in every gram. So if you do the math on this, that's 364 calories of your day needs to be from protein. Now that doesn't sound like that much, but when you look at grams, everybody wants to call the cops and get me a straitjacket. But here's the next part is what about carbs? Nobody says it has to be 0 carb. What if we just make it equal with the protein? If you make it equal and you eat them at the same time, guess what it does to your blood sugars? It actually stabilizes them and makes them go like this instead of in a huge blood sugar roller coaster. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to stabilize the insulin levels too. So if we actually have you eat them both at the same time, it gives that stabilization. And this has the same math. So that's another 4 calories per gram for the carbohydrates. So that's 364 calories, again, per day from carbohydrates. Now, nobody says it has to be 0 fat. You got to have some fat in your nutrition. The reason we're trying to keep the fat so much lower is not because it's good or bad. It's because it has 9 calories in every gram. So if we can back away from the fat, you can eat twice as much of the protein for the same amount of calories. And so we're trying to keep you at about 25 grams of fat or less. That's going to be the goal. And so that ends up being about 225 calories per day from fat. So if we look at a perfect world, and I know there's no perfect world, the absolute minimum we can take you is about 953 calories per day. So that's why we very rarely bring any woman below about 1,000 calories, because you can't get the nutrition adequate enough. But that amount of calories here, it's got to be some damn good food. Otherwise, you're going to waste muscle mass and you won't feel right. So we have to divide the food up. Now, here's the rest of the story. Your gut cannot deal with more than about 25 grams of protein in one sitting. You can eat more than that, but then you're going to have very expensive poop. So you got to spread the food out. So when we talk about something like Jumpstart, let's take this as your day. Let's say you know that you're going to do in advance about a 300 calorie meal. It can be at the end of the day. It can be in the middle of the day if you want it to be. And let's say it's got about 25 grams of protein. Okay, so that's about the size of a chicken breast. So if you know you've gotten 25, well, you need 91. So that means that you have to get another 66 grams of protein. And so we try to map it out within about an hour of waking. And about every 2 to 3 hours, guess what we need you to do? We need you to eat. This is where the word the SNEAL comes out. So if we take 66 grams and we divide it by 5 SNEALs, each one of them is going to have about 13 grams of protein. If these are about 140 calories and you multiply that by 5, that's 700 calories plus the 300, you've got your 1,000 calories. If this is times the 5 here, that's going to be about 66 grams, like we said, plus the 25 grams, so you've got your 91 grams. So the golden rule of all of this, and I know it's a lot of math, is the lower you go in nutrition, the more often you need to eat, but the higher quality it needs to be. Now, I know this is a perfect world. I know it's not going to happen immediately. And if you're using a logging system like a food log app, or if you manually do it, just do it for a day or two where you just do what you think is healthy and you look at it and see whether or not you're fitting into this model here. So that's what I call the protein metabolism equation. And this is based on an ideal body weight of about 135 pounds. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. This is Dr. Powell.